welcome back from that break. This is still the AM Club coming to you live from the Mix 24 studios. Only on the street is Legon Accra, Ghana. My name is Miriam Uduak Menta. We're about to have a great conversation. It's Thursday. I know there was a time when, we would have conversations like we don't like Thursdays. But gradually, we love Thursdays because we're living a healthier life. We're paying attention to the things that matter when it comes to our health. And so this morning is no exception. We're going to be getting into some very vital, parts of our bodies. And this morning is about the heart. What you need to do, how you need to manage it, what you need to do right, what you're doing wrong, what you need to correct in your life just to keep the heart healthy. Do you know that you could just have a cardiac arrest just by, through heartbreak? Yes, you can. But this morning, an expert is going to take us through the conversations, and we would, circle back to knowing that we need to take our health very seriously. So you're welcome officially to the AM Club. Joining me for the conversation this morning, and of course, our topic for this morning is, what you need to know to stay alive and well, and it's about the heart, discussing the Heart Health 101. Doctor, and of course, she's a medical doctor, Esther Yesuto Agbozu. She is CEO of Aya Medical Consult. She's been here many times. It's always exciting to have her join me. Today, I don't have her in studio. Hey, doctor, I miss you. I miss you. I miss you. Why are you not in the studio this morning with me? It's good to see you, but how is business? How's your new project? Did I show up for, have I missed it all? I missed it.
You missed it.
Mimi K. Hi.
Yeah, you missed it, but it went very well. By God's grace, the business is picking up. Small. We'll get there.
I'm excited. We need to have you join us on a very beautiful tour. I'm going to discuss that with you after the show. But welcome to the show this morning. It's always really exciting to have you come here. But every time we see you, we know we're about to learn something new. Today, we're going to discuss the heart. So can you explain to us in very simple terms how the heart works and why it is so vital to the overall health of any individual?
Right. So the heart is that organ in the body that, okay, so I usually like to give a little anatomy. So, the heart is divided into 4 chambers. Right? So we have 2 chambers on the left side, 2 chambers on the right side. Now, the heart is actually located on the left side of the body, contrary to what people say. Some people think that the heart is in the center. Actually, it is not. Right? The heart is that is where the heart is found. That is blood that contains oxygen and the nutrients. So the heart is like a pump. So it's a muscular pump. It pumps the blood to all the parts of your body. Right? So to all the tissues, so the other organs in the body all depend on getting oxygen and nutrients from the blood that is pumped by the heart. Then, after the oxygen and nutrients are used up, blood now returns back to the right side of the heart. Like if you remember, I said the left side will pump oxygenated blood with nutrients to the body. Then the deoxygenated blood or the used up, the blood with the used up oxygen and nutrients will now come back to the right side of the heart. The heart will then again pump this blood to your lungs to receive new oxygen. It comes back to the left side of the heart. Then it goes back to the rest of the body, and then the cycle continues. So the heart is a very vital organ, such that all the other organs in the body, all the tissues and the cells in the body cannot survive without the heart functioning because they need their oxygen, they need their nutrients from the blood that is pumped by the heart. So it is only when the heart stops beating that we say that somebody is actually dead. But somebody can be brain dead and we don't count it as being clinically dead. We only say that somebody is dead when the heart stops beating. It tells you how vital the heart is as an organ.
Yes, it's the fuel that drives the body, I believe, is the engine of the body, if we can say it that way. Indeed. Right. Now, what are the most common signs that a person's heart may not be functioning, optimally, if so to speak, like it's not properly functioning?
Right. So the heart is supplying the rest of the body, right? And so if the heart is not functioning well, the end organs or the other parts of the body would suffer because they're not going to get their oxygen, they're not going to get their nutrients. So these end organs will begin to give you signals, right? So for instance, some people may begin to have difficulty in breathing, right? Because their heart is not able to supply the lungs as well as it should. Some people may begin to have some form of chest pain. I have to be quick to say that not all chest pain is heart related, right? For somebody, once they have chest pain, they begin to think that they're having a heart attack. So not all chest pain is heart related. The classic symptoms that you would have if the heart has a problem is chest pain. Some people would begin to have lightheadedness because if the heart is not pumping well, it means your brain is not going to receive enough blood, enough oxygen and nutrients, and so you may begin to feel lightheaded. If your kidneys are being affected because of the heart, some people may begin to have swelling of their feet. Maybe in the morning they may have what we call facial puffiness. Their eyes may look swollen because the kidneys are not functioning well as a result of the heart also not functioning well. So usually you'd have the end organs giving you some form of signal that something is wrong because they are not getting the nutrients and then the oxygen that they need from the heart.
Okay, right. Okay, so that's an indication that your heart is not functioning properly or optimally. Now, let's talk about lifestyle choices that could contribute to a healthy heart, or let's look at some lifestyle choices and what they contribute or take away from the heart or the heart functioning properly. Let's talk about diet, physical activity, and stress. How does this affect the functioning of the heart over time? So we're talking about diet, physical activity, and stress.
Okay, so when you look at lifestyle, right, a lot of the cardiovascular diseases, so diseases that have to do with the heart and then the blood vessels, we call them cardiovascular diseases. When you look at cardiovascular diseases, usually almost all the risk factors have something to do with our lifestyle. When we take out the big part, which is the family history or genetics, the next thing that you look at when we're talking about risk factors for cardiovascular diseases is our lifestyle. So when we take our diet, right, unfortunately, in our part of the world, most of our diets are very carbohydrate concentrated, lacking fruits and vegetables, sometimes very little protein. The fats that we eat are very bad. And so when we are beginning to do these things, then we are increasing our risk of cardiovascular diseases. Now, it is very important to understand that when we take our diet, if you are eating a lot of carbohydrates, you are eating a lot of sugar, you are eating a lot of salt as well, because the salt has a very interesting role that it plays in the body, right? It can increase the amount of your stroke volume. I mean, I don't want to bore you with the technical terms, but in essence, it can increase your blood pressure. And increased blood pressure can lead to poor function of the heart. So high salt diet, high carbohydrate diet, eating diets that are very high in saturated or unhealthy fats, right, are not healthy for the heart. Then physical activity. It's very important that you make physical activity a part of your lifestyle, because when you live a very sedentary lifestyle, which most of us actually do, you go to the office, you are just sitting at one place the whole day, right? The only time you get up is maybe when you are going for your lunch break or when you are going back home, which is very bad. If mothers, women, when they go to the market, they are just sitting at one place selling until it's time to go home. They do not get up, right? And they don't make any conscious effort to exercise either. If you are sitting at one place and you're making conscious, or maybe you went to the gym before going to the office in the morning, I don't have a problem with you. But if you are sitting at one place all the time and you don't exercise on a personal level as well, it is very unhealthy for your heart. Then we talk about stress. Stress is one of the things or phenomenons that can put some degree of strain on the heart, in the sense that when somebody is stressed, there's a particular hormone that is released. It's called cortisol. Now, what cortisol does is that cortisol would begin to increase your heart rate. Cortisol would lead to an increase in your blood pressure, right? And then it will also lead to activation of what we call it the RAS system, right? It is a system that controls our blood pressure. Once the RAS system is activated, you will have your blood pressure going up, your heart rate going up. So now the heart begins to feel like, I need to work harder. And we've said that the heart, in the beginning, we said it's a muscle. So it's just like any bodybuilder who goes to the gym, right? Once you are overworking your muscle, eventually it is going to get bigger,
Yeah,
right?
enlarge.
And
Yes.
so once you overwork, it is a muscle. So at some point, it will begin to hypertrophy or it will begin to become bigger than it is
Yeah.
supposed to be. Then it begins to now cause problems because God has designed it to be a particular size and a particular design. Once that architecture changes, then you begin to have problems. So our diet, our exercise, our stress levels, they are very, very important when we're talking about
And let's stay on that
heart
conversation a little
diseases.
bit. Let's stay on that a little bit because I've already started getting scared. Yeah, I can't help it. Now let's stay on that conversation a little bit. So what
Yes.
then do we eat? Meals that directly protect the heart. So again, we've talked about the exercising bit, which helps. But then, what meals would you
Right.
recommend? Would you highly recommend that anyone who's making sure from a younger age or to even older people, these kinds of meals they help protect the heart?
Right. So when we take, let's say, our proteins, right? Our proteins, we are looking at uh, proteins or fats that are high in what we call omega-3 fatty acids. Now, somebody will ask what foods contain omega-3 fatty acids. We are looking at things as simple as salmon, the salmon fish that we eat, right? Things as simple as even sardines that we eat, right? These things contain high amounts of omega-3 fatty acids, which are actually healthy for the heart.
Okay.
Then we look at our, right, instead of the maize that you would eat, which has a lot of carbohydrates and would cause problems, why are we not looking at things like oats? Why are we not considering things like wheat, right? They have high fiber, they have less carbohydrates, right? And so they are very unlikely to increase your risk of cardiovascular diseases, right? Then again, we're also looking at our green leafy vegetables. Most of us don't like to eat vegetables, but our contomerates, our spinach, they are very, very important, right? Our lettuce, our cabbage, they are all very important when we are looking at things that are healthy for the heart. Then our fruits also come in, right? Now, it's important to understand, in as much as we are saying that these things are important, you don't have to overdo them because somebody will say, okay, doctor said I should not eat food made with maybe maize. I'm not saying you shouldn't eat it, I'm saying reduce the quantity. So somebody will say, now I'm going to eat oats, and then they'll go and eat, uh, 2 bowls of oats. No, if you are still doing too much of even what is considered healthy, it's still bad. So, as much as we want you to eat healthy, it should still be in a good proportion.
Okay.
So, usually when your plate and are going to eat, a third of that plate should be just carbohydrate. Only a third. So divide your plate into three. Just 1/3 should be carbohydrate. The second third should be your protein, so your meat, your fish, your soup or stew or whatever. Then the last third should be fruits and vegetables. The vegetables, I'm not talking about vegetables that you use in preparing the soup or the stew.
Not the
No,
pepper
we are
and
talking about,
onions.
no, that's not
Not
what we're talking about. We're talking about fresh vegetables,
yes.
right? So maybe your cabbage, you have some salad on the side, you have some fruits and vegetables on the side. That is how your plate should look if you want to eat healthy, right? We call it the eat well plate. That is how your plate should look when you are going to eat.
Now, there's a part that people do not believe that it has an effect on your heart directly because people don't even believe that your emotional state can affect your heart. I think about a week ago, I saw a video. So, yesterday, when the topic was given me, I went to look the video up again. And a doctor was talking about how a girl died. One girl died from heartbreak. And it was as a result of the heartbreak. It wasn't that, something else happened. It was just where her emotions were at the time. And then one went mental. One other girl they have right now that they're treating has currently been admitted at the mental, at a mental facility because she had a heartbreak, and she gave an explanation to, what that could be. Now, how does stress, emotional health impact the heart, especially in today's fast-paced lifestyle?
Right. With this example that you gave about this young woman who has heartbreak, right? We need to understand that the heart is a very critical organ, right? And depending on our emotional state. Now, whenever we are going through anything emotional, there is an influx of hormone, right? And if you have somebody has a heartbreak, depending on how their brain decides to process what has happened, right? So maybe something bad has happened, a heartbreak, or you've lost somebody that you love, or you've had some really terrible news, right? Now, depending on how the brain processes the news that you've heard, there will be a release of hormones, right? The brain controls most of the release of the hormones in the body. So there'll be a release of hormones. And depending on how much or the quantity of hormones that are released, if it is too much, right? For instance, if there's a release of a very high dose of cortisol and adrenaline that is released, and it is too much for the heart to handle, somebody can actually suffer a myocardial infarction or a heart attack because of that news or that event that has happened. So again, it is not possible to happen, right? It is not impossible to happen. Somebody can have a heartbreak. I've seen patients where the very first time they have heart problem is when they had some very terrible news, right? Then their BP begins to go up. The next thing you know, they could suffer a heart attack, and then things just spiral out of hand, right? And so it is not impossible. It can happen. That is why it is important that time you are breaking news to people, you should be careful how you go about it, because you don't know how their nervous system is going to take the news and interpret it, right? So you should know how to break news to people. And then if you're on the receiving end of the news as well, you may need to train your mind to handle news, terrible news, in a subtle way. Because once there is like an overdrive of hormones, emotions, and all that, it overloads the heart, and a lot of things can actually go wrong. So when it comes to our emotions, it is not impossible for our emotions to cause heart problem.
Indeed, indeed. And so, based off from what we have just explained, let's stay on some of the misconceptions that people have, because I mentioned one, that your emotional state has nothing to do with your heart. And so that's a misconception. But let's stay on some of the misconceptions you've heard and you want to rule out of the conversation of, when it comes to your heart and the heart care. Heart care. Yes.
So a lot of people think that heart disease is a thing for old people. In as much as somebody who comes to the hospital, you tell them that your BP is high, and they're like, but I'm only 30 or I'm only 28. Why is my BP high? Because they expect that high BP is for old people, right? It will interest you to know that in recent times, right, a lot of young people are coming to the hospital with cardiovascular diseases or heart disease, right? So you see a young person. Just yesterday, I had a patient at the hospital. He's only 30, right? And he's already having high BPs that are overboard, such that he has to be admitted and put on medication immediately. Okay. And he was wondering why his BP would be that high. So one of the misconceptions we need to get out of our minds is heart disease is not just for old people, especially in our world now where the risk factors are all over the place. Back then, a lot of the things that our ancestors used to do had some, protective function when it comes to their cardiovascular health. Now, we don't do a lot of those things. We don't eat healthy. We don't walk like they used to do. We are always in a car, So now a lot of these diseases are happening way earlier than they should. So even though we know that increasing age is a risk factor, we need to get out of our minds that it is just for old people, right? Some people also begin to think that heart disease is for just obese people. Again, obesity is a risk factor for heart disease, but it would interest you to know that now I see so many skinny people in the hospital who have cardiovascular diseases.
I'm telling you.
You begin to ask.
There was one I saw the other day. One of my girls who weighs about like 50 or 40, said she had cholesterol. Right. I said, wait, sister, which one is this one with your little body going through this? And she showed me the medical reports, and it was actually factual that she was actually going through that. And so it doesn't matter again whether you're big or small, you are at risk. Let's go ahead, please.
Yes. Yes. So we need to get that out of the way, because there's a couple that came to see me one time. The man is bigger, the woman is, the skinny one. They wanted to do like a general health checkup. And it's interesting to know that after the screen, the man rather had normal cholesterol levels and all that. And the woman who is the skinny one is the one who rather had the high cholesterol. So now you begin to ask, why is the skinny one rather having high cholesterol? The bigger one is having normal cholesterol. So even though obesity is a risk factor, it is not a disease for just big people. Let's also have that at the back of our mind. Because the risk factors are a lot. We are looking at stress, we are looking at your family history and all those things. They all come to play. So it's not always the size of the person. Then some people also think that, I think I've mentioned it earlier, every chest pain that you have, they think is a heart attack. No, not every chest pain is a heart attack, right? So some people, once they begin to have chest pain, they come to the hospital and they will be tell you that they're having a heart attack, right? Heart attacks it's a health condition that usually really we don't want any of our patients to experience.
Yeah.
Because the intervention is expensive. It is rare to get in part of the world. It's not readily available. So if you have a heart attack, a lot of things can go wrong.
Can go
right?
wrong, yes.
And so every chest pain that you have is not automatically a heart attack.
Yeah.
Because if you begin to have the chest pain, we encourage that you come to the hospital. Let us have it checked out.
Yeah.
Sometimes it could be a heart attack. That's why you should come to the hospital.
Yes.
But we don't want you to freak out every time you're having any form of chest pain, because the freaking out alone is going to increase your BP even further and make whatever is going on worse, right? So if you have some form of chest pain, come to the hospital, have it checked out. It is not always a heart attack.
Yes, indeed. Finally, Aya, before I let you go, as a health practitioner, I would like you to send a message to my lovely viewers this morning. It's the month of love. We're about wrapping up this month. And so we want to really just say, those who went to Valentine's and those who didn't go to Valentine's, we are all about to become the same. We are all going to celebrate Ghana at this point in the next month. But before we wrap up this month of love, let's receive a message from you for our viewers who you would want to take their heart health very seriously. Please, a message from you quickly.
All right. I think that as we are in the month of love, let's remember that the heart's sole purpose is not somebody else or have affection for somebody else. The heart's primary purpose is actually keeping you alive, right? And so the very moment your heart stops beating, regardless of whoever you are in love with, once the heart stops beating, you are gone. So it's important that your heart health is very, very important to you. So we've said a lot of things. We've said that we should look at our diet, we should look at our stress levels, we should look at our physical activity. So if you're eating unhealthy, I want to encourage you to begin to change your diet. Yeah. If you are not exercising at all, you are living a very sedentary lifestyle, you need to make a change. And it's important to start now. Don't wait till you are old, right? Start when you are young. Build habits that would stay with you even when you are old. I see a 70-year-old woman who is in the gym. She's very healthy and lifting weight, and I'm like, wow, this is inspiring. Yeah. And you can tell that she's been doing it for years, right? So don't wait till you're an old woman, you come to the hospital and we say your BP is high, go and exercise. You can't even exercise because you don't have the energy, right? So it's important that we begin to build our healthy habits now so that as we grow older, we reduce our risk. And even if we do get the cardiovascular diseases, it will be easily, you can manage it better than if you are not doing anything healthy at all.
Okay, thank you very much, Aya, for coming through. It's very important that you take your lifestyle, seriously, because it's just that thing that doesn't, help if you don't take it seriously, and your heart especially. Guys, this one is from me to you. Charlie, stop falling in love with nonsense. I'm telling you, it's not good. You people that like to give your heart to people that like to break hearts, you can't see that the person is breaking hearts all over the place. That's besides the point. Aya, thank you so much for coming through. We're looking forward to seeing you again next week right here in the studio, okay? Let's continue this conversation on heart health. But thank you. Thank you for your advice. Now to you out there, like I keep telling you every single time on the show, we're learning and growing together, and that includes living a very healthy life. And so please take these lessons, these sessions very seriously. We care about you. And this month of love, it's not all about the love, love, love. It's about taking care of yourself. And self-love is the highest form of love you could ever give anyone. In fact, the people that you love, you should love yourself first so that you can love them better. Is that okay? Well, that's it. We're learning and growing together right here on the show. We'll go for a quick commercial break. When we come back, there's more right here on the AM Club. We'll be right back after this.